we're staying positive. We're dealing with what we could deal with in front of us. We're only worried about what we can control. We're trying not to worry about what we can't control. And I'm blessed and honored to have one of my favorite people, not only somebody who I met in the industry as a colleague, right, in the note industry, but became a friend of mine, even though he is a Cowboy fan, I think.
And you got our coach.
I don't want you, coach, damn it. I'll take it back.
I was glad.
He's actually been one of my students recently in the Raising Private Money one-on-one training that we've done, and probably one of my more successful mentees. And now I consider him a colleague. I have Logan Hassinger on. And Logan, thanks so much for getting up early, changing your schedule. I know we had this planned for later on, and I apologize up front for all the people that are expecting this to be later, but business moves. We had to make some changes because we are going to be on calls with our attorneys to handle some of our deals. So we had to make some changes, but I appreciate you being on, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to be here. And, like you said, we're in the middle of something that's just unprecedented. So hopefully today we can share some things that we're doing and some things that people can take action on and look to keep moving forward. That's the biggest thing, is taking action. Don't sit still. Don't look around, and hold on to what you got. Start doing things. This is the real chance for some opportunity here to make some money, make some good relationships, and make things for the long term. So I'm excited.
That's awesome. I mean, and that's why, just to preface this conversation a little bit, guys, I'll let you know a little bit about Logan. First of all, he's a very humble guy. He doesn't have a big ego. He's very ethical. He's very moral. He's a great family guy, good, husband, father, friend, seems to be an okay golfer. But
hey, I just shot 80, so
do I, but that's list on a front nine, brother.
Yeah, that's a bad day.
But Logan, the reason I respect him, sometimes being a mentor to students, you get more out of it. And I talk about this with a lot of people I mentor and my mastermind group and my mentors as well. Sometimes being a mentor and a coach, you get more out of the relationship than the actual student does, because they bring so much value to you and allow you to, chase your vision and your why and what you're made to do and what you truly love. And what I truly love is helping people get to that next level. But I'll tell you this, Logan beat all excuses out there. I'm going to say this about him. When I met Logan, he really just got started in the business. He comes from the financial world, but literally wife, 2 kids, and 1 baby on the way, right?
Yeah, 1 on the way. I've got 1 coming in July. So
awesome. That's why he looks so well rested right now. But Logan worked a full-time job and got his business started working a full-time job. So worked a 9 to 5, had a family, had responsibilities, had deals he had to take care of. He had every excuse in the world why he couldn't do this business, why he couldn't raise money, why he couldn't learn the note business. And he put all that aside. And Logan was somebody who just didn't make excuses. He literally, everything we did in mentorship and training for 3 months, it literally did each thing step by step and never hesitated while working a full-time job. So, when I thought about this and I said, you know what, I want somebody to be, I'm kind of in a space where I enjoy working with people. I enjoy building something together. And I said, I've talked to Logan about it. And the first thing I look at with people is who they are as a person. I watch somebody for months and months and months before I get involved with anybody. I see who they are as a person. I see how they treat their family. I see how they act with clients and investors. I want to make sure they're ethical, moral, hardworking, and positive action takers. And there's no better, I found. I shouldn't say there's no better. There are a few people out there that are like Logan, but not, 90% of the people right now are not like him. So, I have the podcast coming live. It's going to be Passive to Prosperous. I think Logan and I are going to kind of do it together. We have some plans to do things together, because what he's doing and what I'm doing align perfectly, and our mindsets align perfectly, and I actually enjoy hanging out with him. So that's a big part of it for me. So you're going to see a lot more of us together coming soon. But anyway, I just want to, Logan, just give a little bit about your background and tell people why you got started in this, a little bit of how you got started, and then we'll have a conversation back and forth. And you have a lot of knowledge I want you to share with the group that I'll ask you questions on to help the group out.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I graduated with a degree in finance, thinking that I was going to pursue wealth management or some type of private equity, Wall Street type stuff that you see. Got into it through wealth management. Had a really good boss, but just had a role and a job that I just didn't. It wasn't what I expected. So kind of bounced around for a couple of years. Ended up at a firm in Dallas where we were doing a lot for private equity funds, but just more on the back end reporting side. Riding a train back and forth from work, and I had just finished taking my first exam for a CFA. It's a chartered financial analyst. I thought that was the path I was going to take. So I was 6 months just face down in a book on a train for a while and taking the exam, and you had about a month of downtime between getting your results back. And I was used to having my face in a book, so went out and bought another book. I don't know who told me. I have no idea why I picked this up at Barnes & Noble, who's not even around really anymore, but was the Rich Dad Poor Dad. I read it in like 2 days, and I said, well, if I get my results back and I fail, I think I'm going to do this. So I failed, and probably the best failure that I've ever had. So it turned around probably about 6 months later, bought a fourplex after we sold our primary, moved, used that money to go out and buy an investment property. I was a bigger pockets follower, so just got on there, kind of seeing what people were doing. Found a mentor that I invest in apartment syndications with, and very similar to you and I's relationship, Dan. The only two guys that I'll send money to. So really got in with him and understanding his process and how he bought rental properties and how to analyze them. And it's not just the tangibles, it's the intangibles of a property. So taking that approach, grew it to 10 units. And then over the course of 3 years, and then it was like, I thought I wanted 100 units. I don't want another one. So just started listening to some more podcasts, and being from the finance industry, I was familiar with numbers, and so spreadsheets, all that stuff was easy. It was moving forward, with what the next business plan was going to be. Came across the note industry, probably 2017, early 2018. Realized I think this can be a lot more powerful for me in terms of that passive wealth. That's what I was looking for before I ever knew about prosperous to wealth to prosper. So it was really just, okay, I think I can make the note business work. So let me do everything I can to learn. That's where we first met at a mastermind, and out of a room of 40, 50 of us, I was like, that's the guy that I need to partner with. That's the guy that I need to learn from. I tried every lunch that we had to hurry up and find where you were sitting and sit down next to you and make sure that I could steal as much information from you as possible. And then over the course of 2 years now, I just, going back and forth, going through the Raising Private Capital program, and really showing me the right and the wrong way to go about raising capital, because there are hundreds of people on, and I feel like I'm like the Raising Capital police on Facebook. I love going out there and post on somebody on their post like, hey man, this is not the way to go about it, but I'd love to show you somebody who knows what they're doing. So it kind of gets me a little mad when I see people posting like that, because I knew where I came from, and I was doing the same thing, and I don't want anybody to get in. It comes from a place of, I don't want you to be in trouble, or I don't want the SEC coming down on you, or like, we're all out here just trying to make the next dollar. So let's do it the safest way possible and the right way. And you'll be a lot more looked upon as the go-to, as the expert down the road, versus just trying to raise $1 a day and forgetting about that person.
Right. Well, so, what do you think? And I appreciate all that. And I'm really humbled that that out of 40, 50 people, I didn't realize that you were trying to jump in and have lunch.
Oh yeah.
But I appreciate.
I don't think I ever told you that.
I appreciate it. And I hope that it worked out. I think we got together at that mastermind, if I remember right.
We did multiple times.
A couple times then. And we do get that in mastermind. And that's what it's about, guys. If you're in a networking group of any kind, well, first of all, you should find a mastermind. You should have a mentor. I have 2 mentors myself. I pay good amount of money to my mentorships. You all need a mentor. You all need a coach. Every baseball player, every football player out there, every basketball player has a coach. If you're having a problem, and make sure you have the coach that actually meets your vision, right? Has the same vision as you. If you're into multis and that's what you want to do, don't go find a coach that does notes. Find a coach that's doing exactly what you want to do, and really research them. Make sure they're doing what they say. Do some due diligence on the person, and make sure. But I appreciate you saying that about raising private money, because the thing that really gets me a little bit, I don't get upset too often, but what I do is I do get upset when I see people like Keystone Cops out there trying to raise private money the wrong way. Because what you're doing is not only you're taking advantage of your investors that are going to fund your deals, but you're bringing attention to the industry that doesn't need attention brought to it, because you're doing things cavalier, right? Yeah. And for most of those people, they're in the business, and I give you a lot of credit because you're in the business now. In the note business since 2017. You said 2018. You bought your first property when?
We bought our first property in 2014, 2015.
Okay, so so you haven't lived through the market cycle back in 2009.
Right.
So, but you're also humble enough to come out there. You're not telling people, "Hey, I'm an expert. Hey, do it my way." And now you're going through this, and you're going to come out so much better because you're going to learn how to protect yourself in a market like this. But the most important thing is taking care of your investors, raising money the right way, protecting your investors, following guidelines. Right? Don't get your information from. Even with me, I tell people trust and verify what I'm telling you. I could be wrong, right? I'm not the end-all, be-all. I know what I know. I know it very well. Things change quick, but trust and verify what everybody tells you. Treat your business like a business. Have attorneys on staff, that SEC attorneys, not a divorce attorney telling you you're allowed to raise money on social media without filing the proper Reg D filings. Right. Make sure and pay the money. Treat it like a business, because you need to protect your investor money, right? And you need to follow people that might have been in this industry during the last market cycle. And now when, we'll see what happens, who shakes out of this in this market cycle. I think people, if they plan accordingly, they're going to shake out pretty good. If they stop, fear mongering and stop following with the, being sheep and following what everyone's saying and scaring people, I think they're going to turn out pretty good. For instance, people are talking about how rental properties are dead. Well, I think before this call I just showed you, and I'm probably going to do a post later on, I just got a security deposit literally this morning, electronic security deposit. Property was rented out this weekend. We had an open house on Sunday. It was rented out this weekend. In the height of don't leave your house, in the height of coronavirus, in the height of people losing their jobs, we rented out a property. Now, did we change a little bit how we did it? Sure, we adapt. Guys, you got to adapt. And if you adapt in this industry, and Logan, you and I just had a conversation this morning a little bit about what I'm thinking, where I think there's a lot of potential and opportunity to help people and to profit from it as well in the lending space. And we'll talk a little bit about that. I know you had mentioned, we had talked about it, but I know you've done some research. So I'm going to let you tell people, because what I'm seeing is a ton, I'm not going to say all of them, a ton of these hard money lenders, right? Are actually drawing. I mean, I have another post with that where some big names are actually hitting up investors that I know or wholesalers that I know. Because if I didn't have 20 deals cross my desk in the last week from wholesalers or sellers that were selling properties to other people that overbid what we bid, I haven't had one. And what's happening is money's dried up, investors have dried up, but they haven't. They haven't, guys. Yeah. They've tried it from the easy, go to the hard money lender, let them fund your deals. Right. And that's where you're having a problem. Not all of them, but some. There are some good ones out there, and I still know some good ones. Good friend of mine, Ken, has hit me up left and right. I might just start referring him out because he's been good. But here's what happened to me. I'm just a real quick 2007, 8, 9. My history was I was back then. I was working directly with banks. I was working directly with hard money lenders, paying 14% and 4 to 5 points back then. which, okay, it was fine. The normal mortgage rates were like in the eights, nines.
Yeah, for that time, it's normal.
Conventional rates. When I was doing mortgages, I was a broker back in the day. I was refining people that had 12 and 13% interest rates, conventional. So let's be honest, 14% and 4 and 5 points back then. But you know what? The deals worked for me. So I didn't care. I never counted somebody else's money. But literally like this, banks stopped funding my deals. Hard money lenders pulled out. Almost exactly what happened today. My business almost shut down.
Mm-hmm.
I had to maneuver real quick. I had to start doing seller financing, right? I had to start doing lease options back then. I had to figure out a way to get it done. I didn't just shut down, but the banks and the hard money lenders destroyed me at that point. And I swore at that point in 2009, I made this promise when I say, will never, ever, ever, did I say ever, have to work with a hard money lender again. Now, recently, somebody I friendly with has a hard money lending company. I'm not going to say who it is. I don't even know if they were lending anymore, but I'm doing a rehab project out in Charlotte, North Carolina. And they've been hitting me up left and right. Hey, let's do business together. Hey, I want to get in that market. Can you help me get in that market? Hey, I'll match your private money deal. Okay. I'm paying now from 6 to 8% interest only, no points for 3 to 5 years, right? He gave me a rate pretty comparable, right? So I brought him in. I'm telling you what a nightmare. From everything from the draws, all the BS fees that they had on the loan. When you were done, I probably paid over 3 points. The pay, I turned around after the first draw. I think I put in a $19,000 draw. They wanted to give me like 10 grand. And they were nickel and diming everything for me. We had to make changes. They nickel and dimed everything. I was putting all my own money in a deal. I didn't even ask for a draw for a while, right?
Yeah.
I turned around the next day. I said, just give me a payoff letter. I went and paid it off. It took them over 30 days to send me a payoff letter. It's a complete nightmare dealing with them. And I said to my friend at the time in my office, I said, see, that's why I will never deal with hard money lenders. I just raise my own funds. If I can't raise the funds privately, I just won't do the deal. Yeah. Because it's my program, like we talk about in training. I need to control it. I need to make sure I can move forward. And, the bottom line is when you have a decent amount of private money lenders, if you take care of them and they know you take care of them and you do the right type of deals, they're going to be okay. And you don't over leverage yourself buying Lamborghinis and boats and watches like I used to. If you just don't over leverage yourself, keep nice cash reserves. Mm-hmm. Listen, I'm not saying, tenants aren't going to pay. I'm not saying mortgage note holders aren't going to pay, but you deal with it as it comes. I can't worry about what might happen and what might not happen. You deal with it as it comes. So that's why I think it's so important and so imperative that what you said about private money lending. But let's talk a little bit about, they're talking about, possible tenants not having to pay rent. That's not true. That's not true. You do have to pay rent. They're holding off evictions for 2 months right now.
Correct. Holding off on evictions, and then you've got Fannie and Freddie just issuing a statement this morning, or probably last night.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So I mean, of course, it's going to be difficult for a tenant to come up with their rent money if they're not working. If a lot of our tenants are hourly wages, we're dependent on a lot of the industries that are not able to go to work today. It's going to be difficult. So what they've added for Fannie and Freddie for the landlords is that if your loan is owned by Fannie or Freddie, then you have the option to, I'm sure there's going to be more guidance, but providing some documentation that your tenant's having difficulty, therefore you're having difficulty as a landlord to pay that mortgage, that you may have up to 12 months to just extend your loan. You're just going to miss that 12. Is it interest accruing? I don't know. They haven't issued too much just yet, but they have put that out there. And so if you guys want to check to see if your loan is owned by Fannie or Freddie, I actually checked this morning. I pay my mortgage payment on my primary to Chase, but it is owned by Freddie Mac. Didn't know that. So you probably don't know who your actual owner of the note is. So Fannie and Freddie they have 2 websites. You guys can go to freddiemac.com and
I'm going to put these in
the chat. Okay.
I'm actually going to so it's freddiemac.com. Give me 1 second.
And then, so once you guys get over to that website, there's a menu option on the top right, like 3 lines. You can click that. It'll open up a new window. And at the very bottom, it says, do we own your mortgage? You'll take you to a new screen. You put in your address, your name, the last four, your social, and it'll say, yes, we do, or no, we don't. The same thing goes for Fannie. Fannie's site's a little bit different. It's knowyouroptions.com /loan lookup.
Okay.
And then that'll be
Guys, just so you know, I'm going to add these
information, and there you go.
I'm going to add these in the comments, you guys. So I just wanted to get these for you and then have Logan talk a little bit about them. Have you seen, Logan, the mortgage you looked up, has that been your primary residence, some investment properties? What has it been?
So that's an investment property. Is also owned by Freddie. We went through another lender to get that loan. I've got my primary through JP Morgan, but it's been sold 3 or 4 times since we've owned it. I'm pretty, when I see those service transfer letters, I know exactly what's going on. So being in the note industry, so it's just kind of funny, but how quickly from origination to like 6 months in, we'd moved hands 3 times. And at the end of the day, I didn't know who was owning my loan.
That's our business. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Guys, just Logan, let's talk a little bit about people. You know, when you guys make a payment to JP, when your loan is owned by JP Morgan Chase, you understand that you're not actually making your payment to JP Morgan Chase, right? So what's the difference between a note owner and a servicer? Let's talk a little bit about that. So people understand, because when they call up, people just don't understand. I don't expect them to understand. We only know this because it's our business. But what's the difference between a note owner and a servicer?
Yeah, so a note servicer is just that third-party intermediary who's going to collect the payments on behalf of the borrower, or on behalf of the lender from the borrower. They take care of a lot of the reporting. So your interest that you paid throughout the year, they're going to take care of that statement for the lender. They'll send out the monthly statements, and then they act in the direction of the lender. So if you guys have a loan that falls behind, you know, I'm back there directing, okay, if they're 30 days behind, let's do this type of communication, 60 days, 90 days. And you're providing just kind of a 1 through 5 steps of how you want to get the loan reperforming, or, you know, the next steps to take if you're going to send it off to an attorney for foreclosure action and get the notice of default sent out. So it's just that third party. And the reason that you should be using a servicer in the note industry is really to alleviate yourself from a lot of the liability that exists from servicing your own notes. So that's one area that, you know, we don't get into, is servicing your own notes, because of all the compliance, all the regulations that are around a servicing company and licensing that's required to be a servicer. So don't underestimate. It's not just simply collecting a payment like a rent check and moving on. There's a lot of things behind the scenes that servicer is doing for you, even though you may not like the $15, $20 fee.
And guys, I talk about this in my mentorship and my training. And when I did one on try, I show about servicing and how that works. And guys, once you have a certain amount of loans, even when you start out, it literally is $15 a month. Once you get to, I think, over 10 loans, it goes to like $10 a month, I think, for our company, not my company, the company I'm with. And my borrowers pay it. I put it in the note and they pay the servicing fee. So it actually cost me nothing. But even if it cost me something, I argue with people all the time about this. I've heard people, well, that cuts into your yield. But guys, how much is your time worth? How much is your peace of mind worth? You want to be
people nobody values.
No, and you're not running a business, guys. Even if it costs you $15 a month, and you know, $150 to set up the loan, guys, you could charge it in your loan package if you need to. If you don't, it's well worth it, because if you don't want to handle escrows if you don't handle escrows, you don't know how to handle them.
That's another big component.
Yeah, you don't want to handle mortgage interest statements. You don't want to handle payoff letters. Nope. You don't want to handle collecting payments. You don't want to handle late notices. You don't want to handle those default. You don't want to handle any. I mean, geez, you can get as far as having your service at work do borrow workouts. Well, I don't, but you can. Yeah. So you need to treat this like a business. But I don't want to teach the note business on this call right now. That's something that Logan and I will probably do a lot more when we're on the podcast. We'll have, you know, our talks will be a little bit about note business. Alternative talks will be more about living a prosperous life and how to live that life. But
that's the point. That's the point of the servicer, is to allow that to happen. The more time that I'm focusing on making sure that all my borrowers have made their payments, and if they haven't, I'm mailing out statements. I'm looking for payoff requests. That's less time that I have to focus on going out and acquiring more notes or helping somebody else do the same thing that I'm doing. So it's about the time and getting that time back.
Exactly. And running it like a business, right? If you can't leave your business
But you're
for
professionals.
3 months every summer and have it run, you don't have a business, you have a job. Guys, if you have questions, post them in here. I do want to ask, as every once in a while, I'll see a question, I'll ask it. And Dimitri, I appreciate you asking this question. I'm going to let Logan even answer before I answer, because he's probably going to say the same thing as me anyway. But Dimitri asked how to raise money and confidence from private lenders right now, meaning right now, for deals when there is uncertainty of tenants paying rent and borrowers getting forbearances. So how would you go about raising money right now from private lenders with the uncertainty in the market with tenants and borrowers?
Yeah, I mean, so this is a good question. I had a private lender come to me last week about a deal that we were looking to have him fund, and his first question to me was, "What do you think's going on? You know, what's going to happen?" And you know, it's kind of two sides. Unfortunately, a lot of stuff we don't know, but what we do know is that if you're coming into a deal with the numbers that you think are conservative already, and then you're factoring in this, you know, additional risk of you know, what you think 6 months is going to look like, 9 months. Let's say you've got to hold on to a property longer than expected. You're normally doing a flip in 4 months, but now you're doing it in 9. Or you hold a note for 12, but now you think you need to hold it for 24. A lot of the communication is really just explaining to that private investor, you know, your direction, your mindset, versus sitting back and thinking, well, I don't know. Yeah, that does sound kind of scary. And not having an answer. It's really comes down to the communication, whether the deal is going great and, you know, you're earning more than what you expected, or the deal is going downhill, or you're just now getting into the deal. It just, to me, it comes down to, I'm going to communicate to that private investor everything that we're anticipating. And if they're not comfortable, they're not comfortable. That's okay. I'm not here to sell anybody that they need to put funds into a deal. I'm simply presenting an opportunity. If it doesn't fit what you're going with going forward, that's okay. That we've got some other people we can lean on, and if we don't, then we don't do the deal. I'm not racing out to find private money from the hard lenders. I'm not you know, racking up HELOC loans and over leveraging myself to make sure I get a deal done. I don't need any deals. That's the biggest piece. Is I talk to my partner all the time. We had a wholesale flip come to us yesterday, and I said, I stopped him before we even got started. I was like, look, I don't need this. I will do it if it makes us some money and it makes our private investors some money. Outside of that, you know, let's approach it right there from the get-go, and then we can talk about the deal and go forward.
That's awesome. I think that's been the biggest problem, is I think everybody's running around and they're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, and they're trying to force a deal that doesn't make sense. And I see it because, you know, obviously we see it in the note space. We see it in the investment, in the real estate, hard asset real estate space.
Mm-hmm.
On the note space, we've seen the price of notes go through the roof, which that's going to change here now. We've seen the real estate, you know, wholesalers out there running around. They go to some weekend event and they're running around and they're overbidding an asset by a ridiculous amount of money. They don't know how much the rehab costs. They don't know time factor money. They don't understand closing costs. They don't understand holding costs. Mm-hmm. And they're bidding on these assets at almost retail value up front. And then they get caught. And these private lenders out of these local REO groups that don't know what they're doing, they're writing mortgages on deals they shouldn't be giving, and they don't hold the borrower. There's no skin in the game for a borrower, so a borrower could just walk away right now.
Right.
I just had somebody hit me up, no joke, 2 weeks ago, that they borrowed money from had an investor give them money to them. They in turn gave money to somebody else and didn't put a mortgage on a property, and now the person is not paying them back. And they're actually hitting me up and telling me this, and I'm like, well, I can't. First of all, I have nothing to do with you. Second of all, you know, shame on you for putting yourself at risk. You have to worry about now the person A that gave you the money, how you didn't prepare them. Yeah. You have criminal you possibly have criminal actions possibly against you. Mm-hmm. And now you want to come to me and now, hey, let me help. It doesn't work like that, guys. Just do it right the first time. Always look out for your investor before you look out for yourself. So,
yeah, I mean, is it easy to do that? Sure. It's easy to borrow some money, grab it from over here, and I'm going to move it over here. I'm going to lend it on this project. And if that project goes well, then we all get paid. But if it doesn't, what have you done? You've created a mess, and now you're looking around and there's nobody around to help because you're so deep that you're stuck. You now owe somebody else money that you're never going to get that money back from the third person.
Exactly.
Daisy chaining funds is that can get you into trouble real quick.
It could, if you don't do it the right way, it could get you in a lot of trouble real quick. But you know what's really not moving away from that a little bit. What's so cool is we really are like brothers, because I remember about 2 weeks ago it might have happened. I did a Facebook Live in the morning, right? I was just getting so aggravated of the fear mongering that people were doing, and they were talking about how bad the stock market was. I still remember I was coming home from a meeting in Maryland with my project manager partner in North Carolina and a couple investors out there, and I'm home. And I just happened to, on the way home, I was just getting so aggravated by what I saw in the morning, right? And I just looked on Facebook and people were like, well, the stock market's getting hit. My real estate portfolio never got hit. You should have invested in my real estate portfolio. First of all, be careful what you ask for, because that was 2 weeks ago. Look what's happening now, right? Two is they were using fear mongering, right? Using a scarcity tactic to scare people that are investing in stock markets because the market got killed. They were loathing in their 401ks becoming 101ks, right? They were laughing. They were so happy that people were losing money. You should have invested in my deals. You should do real estate. Look what it's done. And you know what? I got so pissed. I said, you know what? Yeah. I've raised over $30 million in new money. I've used it in over $200 million of velocity. I have 42 active investors, lenders right now. Now, they don't always all have money, but they're on my list. I don't go out and get 200-300. I don't boast myself, but you know what? I treat them very fair. I'm very honest with them, and knock on wood, I've lost myself money plenty of times. I've never lost an investor $1.
Yep.
Okay. But I never use fear mongering to raise money, right? It's the most unethical, immoral thing I've ever seen anyone do. First of all, I'm going to tell you this, and because you on this group right here, you have some of my lenders are in this group, some of them. Okay. But generally, and they're in this group. They're not going to be out there publicly looking at stuff like this. Generally, what's going to happen is I talk to them all the time. You don't know who they are. Okay. They're not going to raise their hand and say, I have $1 million.
Oh, okay. No.
Not on Facebook. Yeah. They're not going to fund your deals because you say, hey, I have a deal on Facebook. You need to get to know them. Okay. Yep. And they're never going to trust you if you use fear mongering. Okay. Yeah. The reason why Logan has done so well, and Logan, I'm going to say is he just closed a deal over 70 notes, guys. He's raised capital to close over 70 notes. 70. You guys are having problems doing one deal a month. He did just did 70. He came out of mentorship, and his first pop was like 70 deals like that. Yeah. And I'm not saying this to boast his head. I'm not saying this because he's not gonna pound his own chest. That's not who Logan is, and he's not gonna say, "Look at me." But one thing Logan does, if you watch what he does, he just puts content out. And everyone's like, how do you raise money? Guys, you can't worry about raising money today for a deal today. You got to worry about raising money for a deal 9 months from now, for a deal 6 months from now, for a deal 3 months from now, for a deal 2 years from now. You have to be consistent. You have to provide content. You have to provide valid content. You have to give to get. And Logan's been doing this. You got to remember, he started mentoring with me about 6 months ago now.
It's probably July, August, somewhere around there when we got started.
And he started doing everything step by step. He didn't raise money day one. No. Some people.
I didn't raise money day 80, 90.
Well, you know what?
But that was the point. I mean, it took me a little bit to understand that coming from the wealth management piece, because you're out there, you're a sales guy looking to have investors, buy into a product on the investment side, and you're showing up with a pen trying to get them to sign that day. So that's the mindset that I had going into all this. And, you showing me that, hey, you got to provide content and establish some type of level of expertness in your field before somebody's just going to start stroking checks and funding deals. And so, that's really what it started, was just allowing people to see, what I'm doing, and then I know what I'm doing, whether it's an article that I'm reading and then, my take on it, or a deal that we're going through, case studies, or just general, business practices that I'll share with people. At the end of the day, it's more about helping people than it is trying to go out and find the capital. because unfortunately, a lot of us are very, I need it now, get rich quick type approach. And this is not how you stay in any business long term. I don't care if you're raising private capital to start a power washing company, or
Right.
to buy a note, or to buy some real estate for a fix and flip. That's just how I approach this. So.
No, that's actually really great information. Now, without giving names, I know, because I love it. We always talk about it. I'm like, beware, not beware, but be advised that, people have hit me up asking me about you, Logan, right? And I think about 2 weeks ago, I had like 2 people hit me up asking, and what were the conversations that we had with those 2? We don't have to talk names or anything, because they're probably in this group. They're in this group, and that's probably how they saw this anyway. But what's come out of that? I mean, what benefit have you seen just doing what you're doing, content in this group and the mentorship and stuff like that?
I mean, overall, I'm getting a lot more response just to the posts that we're putting out there, and I'm able to, continue on with the post, whether it's, comments back and forth and people asking questions. One of the biggest ones was just on Fridays, I like to post about kind of what we've done for the week, whether it's closing on a deal, or working through with a forbearance agreement on a borrower, selling a loan. So I had posted about some licensing that we were going through. So going through with my MLO license, and getting registered with the NMLS, so that we can continue. Unfortunately, that's where the industry is going license wise. So as that post kind of, brought to light some licensing requirements, folks were reaching out like, man, I didn't realize that I needed to be licensed in Georgia, or needed to be licensed in Ohio, or Virginia. It's things like that I'm helping people understand, like, hey, if you want to do it, this is how you can go about it. And then having that further conversation with them, taking a step back and saying, what if we work together? What if we partner? And that's really is where it's been over the last 2 to 3 months. Is people are taking a step back and saying, that seems like a little bit more work than I anticipated. You sound like you know what you're doing. And even those relationships, they're not overnight. So I've been talking to one individual for 4 months, initially, just, similar to providing a background to who I am, what I'm doing. Same thing with them, because I want to understand that private lender as well. It's not just about me, and I'm, like I said, trying to sell somebody. It's got to be a fit for both of you. And I presented a couple of deals, and the timing hasn't been right, or he couldn't get to the bank because he was on lockdown. So we moved on with another lender, but these relationships are not established overnight. That's the biggest piece. Is it takes time, it takes hard work, and really working together to identify if you guys are going to be a good partnership.
That's awesome. Hey, you want to give us some shout outs? We got a ton of guys, give you credit. We got a ton of people on this. I thought we'd lose a lot of people this morning because it's so early on the West Coast over there. Maybe people wanted to get up and we should have, instead of fireside chat, we should have said coffee chat with us, coffee relax. But we got a lot of people on, some great people I know, Teresa Crowley, Jonathan Burden, Joy, hey, what's up? Steven, it's good to see you on. He was one of our students. Laura Blum, yes. Jonathan Gersh, what's up, Jonathan? I know you're hurting right now. You're not at these great restaurants out in Philly that you make me jealous with. Bill McCaffrey, I love Bill, guys. If you're not following Bill McCaffrey, he said, 2 great guys. Be safe out there. Keep crushing. Thanks, Bill. Bill was integral on my team for when I did second mortgages.
Okay.
I don't even attempt to work out seconds. I can write to Bill McCaffrey. You want to talk about epitome of ethics and morals and hard work and honesty. Bill McCaffrey is your guy. He's doing some kind of education right now too.
Mm-hmm.
And
I love it.
Mentorship. I 100%. If you're in that second space, you want to learn it. He's somebody.
It was funny. We were at that Philly event with Mark Kohler.
Yeah.
I'd seen Bill just online and seen some of his stuff, and I was like, it was kind of like that celebrity moment. I was like, oh, that's Bill. I should go over there and say hi to him.
That's the bald guy. That's the bald Amish-looking guy with the beard.
Exactly.
Finally
got over there, introduced myself, and yeah. So we've had a couple of chats since that meeting. Even though he's in seconds, I'm in first. Doesn't matter. It's mindset. So
You don't know. I mean, Logan, listen, especially we start working together, you and I, like we're talking about, we come across a great tape of seconds. I have no problem jumping on them if they're a really good deal. And I just turn right over to Bill and let Bill work them because it's not my expert zone anymore.
Same with me.
It's not what I want to do. In my vision board, nothing on there says I want to do workouts on seconds, right?
Yeah.
Nothing says I want to chase money in my vision board, right? So I've learned this back in 2009, and since 2009, I changed my business and my life. And that's really what our podcast is going to be about. It's called Passive to Prosperous. But more importantly, prosperous is a big part of everything I do. I have to live that prosperous life. So that's so important for me. And having team members, having people, like you could do this business by yourself all you want. It gets very lonely by yourself. And nothing in my vision board says, hey, I'm here chasing dollars right now. It's like, hey, I'm chasing relationships. I'm chasing a group, a network of people I want to be around. I want to be a giver. I want to be somebody who puts people together. And that's why I'm bringing you into what I'm doing to put us together. But also, like I said, 2 weeks ago, I had two of my investors, my lenders, two of them didn't know you from a hole in the wall, hit me up and said, what's up with Logan? I see you mentored him. Is he a good guy? Right. That was the first question, right? Both of them kind of asked the same thing. I said, he's a great guy. And they said, would you fund his deals? I said, absolutely. I'd fund his deals. I said, look at the deal. If you're comfortable with it, fund it. And I think I talked to you about it. I said, call you up. I said, you might have a call from one of these two guys. And he said, I think I already heard from one of them.
Yeah.
And these were guys in my group, right, that, watch what you do. They sit and watch what you do. And they hit me up and they like, you mentored him? Yes, I mentored him. Tell me about this guy. Because it's like an interview. They're not going to ask you, Logan, about you. They're going to ask somebody else, right? These are guys that are doing their due diligence. They're going to ask you about yourself. They're going to ask me about you. And when they asked me about you, one of them had a lot of questions. The other one had a couple questions. He said, would you fund them? I said, absolutely. He goes, that's all I need to know. Thanks. I'm going to reach out to him. And I think I mentioned it to you, and I think you said you heard from him already.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Don't mention names on here. So, but they're watching you. So what you're doing is working. So, and I'll tell you, between those two guys, there's probably about $1.4 million in money right now that I'm not even using. Right. So, not that they're going to give you the whole thing. They might try you with $100,000 each, but keep doing what you're doing. Keep posting what you're posting. Don't post. Like I tell everyone in the group, don't ever post in the group asking for money. That's not going to work. These guys will never lend you money. I would never lend you money if you do that. First of all, I'd block you and probably remove you from our group because I don't know your deal. Even if Logan posted that in the group, I'd probably tell him, hey, let's not post that in the group.
Yeah.
I know these two people are now open to watching. Just post what you're doing. Let them reach out to you. Let them ask you. Don't say you're the expert. Let them show you the expert. And guys, that's why you see me post so many times proof of I don't post my cars. I'm not posting boats. I'm not posting planes. I'm not posting watches. That's all junk, right? That's all just a facade. Yes, we have the nice cars. Yes, we have watches. Yes, we have a boat, but that doesn't do anything for you. How could I bring value to you? So when I post stuff, I'm showing you, hey, you think you can't raise money now? Look at what Logan did. Hey, I have Z on here, and, Awana. She's awesome. She's one of our students now. She's in the note space too.
Yep, I've been following her too.
Yeah, she is professional, really crushing learning how to raise private money. And awesome. She's going to do awesome. And she's in the note space. So she's very, very cognizant, very much cares about her investors. So these are people that are on here that are watching. So,
and even on your expert thing, I'm not even going to claim that I'm an expert in notes. Guys, there's regulation across every state, and it differs. So I'm not going to claim that I know what Kentucky's doing versus Washington's doing versus Virginia. I'm in 4 or 5 states, and I know those states. But if you came in, asked me, well, I'm thinking about looking at a note in Omaha, Nebraska. I'd have to go, partner up with an attorney local and better understand that market and better understand the regulations and the laws that are governing, a lender. So I'm never going to sit here and say I know all 50 states, and I don't have the capacity in my head to understand that. And even in the attorneys, there's a reason why they focus on a few states at a time, because it's just too much. for in any business that you're doing. But
100%, 100%. It's not even worth doing that. It's not worth taking the bandwidth to do that if you're not going. If you're trying to invest in all 50 states, maybe unless you're in the second space, it just doesn't make, in our space, it just doesn't make sense. You can't be an expert in all the states, and it's not. You're not doing a service to your investors, to yourself, to your business, or anything like that.
yeah,
Let's talk a couple more questions though. What we have. Let's talk about non-QM mortgages and and qualifying mortgages. Like people, I'm seeing posts out there. Banks are doing non-QM mortgages, and they're using all this lingo. And let's just, I'd rather you. I could tell you this, but what did you find out on it?
Yeah, so and I think the important thing to kind of start off with is the fact that we're probably going to be seeing some inventory and on the defaulted note space. It's going to take some time though. When you look at where we are in the food chain of note investors, you've got Fannie and Freddie at the top. Your government sponsored entities that are out there buying billions of dollars of notes on a daily basis. So as you work your way through, and you've got large institutional buyers, BlackRock, all of those type players in the market, and then you move through the hedge funds and the private equity firms that are doing distressed debt. Then you probably go into another smaller range, and then you've probably got us. So just high level, it's going to take time for inventory to cycle through all of those chains as people carve out what they want and pass off what they don't. But the reason that QM is important is understanding what a qualified mortgage is as it relates to underwriting standards for Fannie and Freddie to take that loan on. QMs came about through your favorite, Dan, Dodd-Frank. So unfortunately, those are the rules that we play by. So for now, you better understand them. So what a QM really means is the biggest component is the ability to repay as the originator of that note, understanding, allowing somebody to say, have you checked all these boxes that show that they can make their mortgage payment? That was the biggest issue in 2006, 5, 2007, and 8 as to, just no doc loans, ninja loans. We've all heard the acronyms for what type of loans were being originated. So, regulation was put into place to help curb that. So QM is making sure that you've got the ability to repay, that some points and fees are within a certain range, that you don't have a high cost loan, and then you've got no prepayment penalties. So once you've met that criteria, then what it's saying is that Fannie and Freddie will buy that loan, that you're in this safe harbor act, and that we'll back the loan. So if it goes bad, the borrower can't come back and say, well, you didn't do the ability to repay. You knew I couldn't afford this mortgage. And you go back and you show all the documentation, and the court tosses it out and says, sorry, borrower, we did everything we could based on the underwriting criteria. The article that came out is the non-QM lenders. So non-QM is everybody that's going over the DTI of 43%, or not really going through all the 8 components that make up ability to repay, or not looking at the rate that they're charging being abnormal or above average. And so as those, almost all of them have backed out and said, we are no longer making QM loans or non-QM loans. So those loans, unfortunately, are going to be the first to go. When you look at, the type of borrower that was placed into the loan, sure, you're, as an originator, you're trying to help a borrower, you want to get them in the home. Whether you're ethical or not, you're making a decision on a borrower that is probably going to have some difficulty, or if things don't go perfect, it's difficult. So you look at the industry or the way the environment is today, it is now difficult to pay a mortgage for a lot of borrowers, whether you were a 25% debt to income or you were a 45 on origination, you're probably now an 80. So the non-QM lenders have backed out, and they're gone for now. They've suspended all lending operations within that form of loan. So just knowing that piece, you can, if those guys are stopping that type of lending, then something is on the horizon in terms of defaults. And we've already seen default rates start to increase. Now they are at historic lows, so an increase right now doesn't really mean a whole lot. I think we were at a peak of 11% default rate back in 2008 and 9. So I don't think we'll ever get back there. It's just a different type of environment. But the non-QM loans are loans that were made with, I wouldn't say sketchy underwriting, but they were on the edge of a borrower not being able to, maintain their payments. So those lenders are gone.
Well, I appreciate that breakdown. And, the reason I don't like Dodd-Frank is because it's like anything else with regulation, they went a little bit too far.
Yeah.
We weren't giving loans to people that couldn't afford them. What we were doing is we were actually helping banks stop lending like they are now. We started lending to owner-occupieds. We were helping owner-occupied borrowers buy properties. These are a lot of the times your contractors, your realtors, your independent contractors, your 1099 employees that can't show their full income on
Right.
tax
On
returns.
paper, on a pay stub. Yeah.
So we obviously didn't want to put anybody in our properties that couldn't afford to pay it. So we didn't take advantage of them. But what happened is government got involved, Dodd-Frank got involved, CFPB got involved. Over-regulation kind of killed me doing lending to owner-occupant borrowers. So what I did is I had to stop that. It kind of hurt my business. And I went into lending to investors, so non-residential, so I didn't have to follow Dodd-Frank rules and regulations. Yep. Now those investors were having trouble getting mortgages as well because a lot of them were entrepreneurs and they couldn't show their money in tax returns. So we were able to do a mortgage for them and they kept them as rentals. But Nadine made a post here. Oh, Jonathan, what's up, buddy? He says, I'm enjoying this episode. I'm going to cook inside, Dan. I'm from New Orleans. I know you are. And we were planning to get out there this spring, my man. We were planning it, Dawn and I. But now with this going on, we will be out there. Just don't know when. And it's not going to be in the summer. I'm not going to New Orleans in the summer. If I'm allowed, you'll find me on the beach and on the boat all summer. I'm at the beach house. But she had made a post, and I'm gonna start off with Nadine. Thanks for the post. It says, it seems like banks are setting people up for foreclosure. PNC Bank is given a 3-month deferment with balloon payment at the end of 3 months. Crazy. Nadine, I'm going to say this up front. I'm going to say, don't believe the hype. When I say that, I hate to be so arrogant about it, or not that I'm not caring. It's cavalier about it. I don't believe the government is going to let that happen.
No,
okay? I don't believe it. And you can't control that right now. So like I said in the beginning, really be careful. It's so hard.
Focus on what you can control.
I'm so empathetic with you. I really am. I feel terrible for you, for everyone who's saying this, for my tenants that might have an issue paying. You can't control what's going to change. We're seeing changes every single day in what's going on with the government bailouts right now, what's going on with tenants, what's going on with mortgages. Logan just gave some phenomenal information. The links are down below for Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Check your loan, see what's in there. There's also, I might do another event. I just want to see it work. But there's SBA loans out there, guys. We are a business, so there are some SBA loans out there. I don't know the ins and outs of those yet. I'm speaking with an accountant about it. And but from what I understand from my mastermind, there's an opportunity that there might be some real low interest rate loans out there. Logan, you mentioned something. I'm not taking lines of credit. I actually took a line of credit yesterday. I tell you, I just went in and stroked a check for $100,000 and wrote a line of credit because just in case. Listen, I'm never somebody to tell you go out and take debt. My mentor is the same way. We don't believe in debt. I get this good debt, bad debt crap from everybody. How's that working out for people right now? Right? Yep. I believe if you don't have debt, you're gonna be okay. Right? You might not grow as much, but you're gonna be okay. I understand when you build, you have to take on debt, but you got to be conservative. You got to be responsible. But if you have lines of credit right now, people, 100%. I mean, I didn't like doing it. I don't want to take on $100,000 line of credit right now for no reason, just to sit in an account. But God forbid the banks pull your lines of credit, even if they're paying on. They did this before. Okay. Yeah, they did. You can make every single payment on time for years.
They can cut it in half. They can knock it to zero if they want.
They've knocked them to zero. Do that, they knocked them to zero, guys. You had nothing. So if you ever heard my story, I was very equity rich, cash poor, and I could not take advantage of assets. I was getting offered deals, multifamilies, 20 cents on the dollar back then, and I couldn't do anything because I couldn't get money. You're in the same position now. Non-QM banks, your hard money lenders out there, your alternate doc banks out there, they cannot sell their loans to Fannie Freddie. That's why they stopped lending, because they don't hold them in-house. So here's another thing. If you're out there and you're doing rental properties using that BRRRR method, make sure go to your local banks. people that hold their portfolio in house, right?
That's the first question is I ask every local bank, do you portfolio lend?
Yep.
If you don't, then I probably won't do business with them. It's just more red tape as you move through to the traditional thinking, knowing that Fannie Freddie has to buy that loan. There's just guidelines that they can't fudge on.
They don't make their own decisions. So I met with the local the local credit union last Wednesday. I had a meeting with the manager, and there's 4 people in the whole lending department. The big credit union, 4 people make the decisions. And literally, when I walked out, he says, "Give me all your paperwork." He says, "We're going to approve you up to $3 million. Anything over $3 million, we have to have a board meeting, but we want all your business." So, and they hold everything in the house. So he makes that decision. So guys, what I'm trying to say is, and Nadine, I appreciate you posting that because it's so important. It really is. But I want, in my mentorship group, my inner circle, and the next one we're building is we only max out at 15 people. Our mentorship program. It's not a one-on-one. We're going to do group, but it's so important. That mindset is everything, right? We hang out with people who are actually doing things instead of saying how terrible the world is, instead of watching politics right now, instead of, caring about Democrats, Republicans, people that really don't care about you anyway. What can you do to control your own life, right? I went and, like I said, I took a line of credit out yesterday to make sure that I have cash should this thing last longer, right? Or should the banks turn around and say, well, we're pulling your line of credit. Now, I probably should even take a lot more because if there are deals that come by my way, I want to be able to close on them. I've already committed to funding 2 deals for my students on deals they're buying for rentals. So I want to make sure I have the money. I don't have to go back to them and say, hey, we can't close. I want to make sure that deals that I'm in contract on, we are in contract on one other deal right now out of state. I want to make sure that I can close on that deal, right? We have to deal with title companies not working. Maybe they can't file electronically. You have to plan for this, guys. You don't just put your head in the sand. But there is a time, if you do this right, if you do what Logan said, you get online after this call, you go to Fannie Mae and Freddie, and you go look and see if your mortgage is held by them. Pick up a phone, get ahead of it, call your lender and your servicer and talk to them and say, what are my options here?
It's just communication. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of guidance just yet. I mean, even if you look at the stimulus package that, that's going back and forth in the Senate, the Republicans approved X and then the Democrats are saying no. Don't sit back and wait for that $1,000 to hit your account, because by the time it does, you're gonna have needed it 2 months ago. So that's, and I don't really mean that for this call and for the people attending, but it's just it's more about taking action versus sitting back and waiting for somebody else to do something that you think is going to help you or hurt you. So if you feel like you're in trouble, a tenant's not paying, or you're having difficulty paying your own mortgage, reach out and connect with them. So I know within the note space, I network with 2 or 3 individuals that are probably doing more business than I am in terms of how many notes they own. And, we're all kind of just throwing ideas against the wall of, what do we do when a borrower calls us and says, hey, I need to miss a payment or X. I'm not, I gotta be careful. I'm not reaching out to all 75 plus note holder or borrowers and saying, hey, skip the next 2 payments, we'll all be good. But as they reach out, and I follow my call logs pretty daily right now with my servicer. And, if they're having an issue, I'm instructing them to give them a call, figure out the situation, get more details on their situation. And then, what I'm thinking about doing is, just pushing the loan 2 months back, 3 months back, and just saying no payments. I'm not accruing interest. I'm not doing anything. Just let's give you some relief, because I don't need a non-performing note. I want a performing note, and I'll do everything I can to allow you to get your feet back under you and move forward. It's the private lenders that are in the note space that have all this flexibility. Like a JP Morgan is probably not going to allow me to do that. So that's why I like the note space as well. Kind of being able to offer solutions to borrowers that half of them are like, what do you mean? You can't do that. Yes, I can. No, you can't. Yes, we can. I promise. I'll get a forbearance agreement drafted up for you, and I'll have it to you within an hour. My paralegal is ready to go. Like, she's got her stuff ready. I send over the loan docs. We can get that agreed, signed, and then boom, you're free and clear for the next 3 months. So I'm not here to squeeze every dollar out of them, to force them to right now you can't find a second job. You can't find any jobs right now. So I'm just trying to alleviate the stress of a borrower that we've got one that's called in so far and says, hey, I'd like to make a half month's payment. Okay, that's fine. No late fees. We won't accrue anything. Just do what you can, and and we'll get through it together. That's the biggest message.
Well, it's funny you say that, right? I'm gonna have to disagree about the job part. I did go through.
Yeah, that's true. There's
I did go through this with my group, right? Because I have students in my group, and I even spoke on somebody's webinar the other day, and he asked me to share it with them. But you can get ahead of it, right? If people call you up, I'm not saying to say send this all out, but you know what? Amazon is hiring like a couple 100,000 people. Walmart is hiring. Target is hiring. Dollar General is hiring. There are people hiring right now. So you
pizza delivery. I mean, there's 11,000 jobs.
We talked about this right the other day. So there are jobs, right? DoorDash, Uber Eats. There are definitely
high demand jobs right now. Yeah,
right. There are definitely jobs out there. So I don't want to say there's no jobs, because that's just thinking
what you're used to traditionally. Those are not around. But you just got to think outside the box for right now.
People have to make a $600-700 mortgage payment to you, right? And there's a couple ways to act on it, and we deal a lot with tenants. We also have a lot of seller finance notes. Seller finance notes, I'm not reaching out to the investors there, because that's handled by the servicing company. I'll deal with it as it comes. But my tenants, we actually reached out to every one of them, and we had a 5-part plan internally, and our 5-part plan was: one is, reach out, get ahead of it. 2 is be empathetic with your tenants, understand what they're going through. 3 is ask if everything's okay. Okay. 4 is if they can't pay, see what they could pay. And then 5 is put them on a payment plan if that's the case, right? So you have to have a plan in place. People right now, I think the biggest problem is people are scared to death, and they're like, well, I'll deal with it when it comes. That's the wrong way to do it. You need to be ahead of it. Just like if you have a problem with your private lender, you better be ahead of it. You better call them and say, listen, because on all my private money loans, I have confession of judgments, personal guarantees, assignments of rent. If you're not ahead of it, you don't call me. I mean, I literally could take I might be able to take it today, but in 2 or 3 months, I can take the property. If you call me and you're ahead of it and we work something out, that's really how it's going to work. So I'm going to tell you guys, get ahead of it. If you have rental properties here, reach out to your tenants. Don't say, hey, rent is due. Screw you, rent is due.
Yeah.
Don't say you don't have to pay rent. Just be empathetic. Show them you care. Our tenants are really our family. I told you before, I think you guys heard my wife, when our tenants in Delaware where we live, our tenants love us. My wife loves them. She's like mama hen to them. She literally loves them to death. I mean, I don't know how she does it, but she does. And people know that we truly do care about our tenants. But we're also in a situation where, I'm not going to compare myself to other people, because maybe you're in a little different situation because you over leverage yourself, right? So if you won't get your rent, you can't pay that mortgage. Well, you want to get on the phone with the mortgage company right now. First of all, look if you're Fannie Freddie. That's great links that Logan shared. That alone is worth this call. I know he's a good looking guy, but that alone is worth this call. He did his hair and everything this morning.
I had to do something.
Thank God this is going to be video, not just the podcast, right? Because I want people to see the infamous Logan, how good he looks. But get ahead of it, right? And stop. The reason I wanted to do this, right, is so important, is because if you watch all the videos I'm putting out and all the content I'm putting out, it's kind of like against the grain of what everybody else is saying. I'm not putting anything about doom and gloom, right? I'm not putting anything about negativity of politics. I'm not putting anything about how bad jobs are and tenants aren't paying, and because I truly believe in that you're going to get what you wish for. I truly believe in that. The secret, like that's, call me crazy, call me like foo-foo, but I truly believe if you believe it's going to happen, it will happen, right? Everyone started talking about 2 weeks ago, and you and I had this conversation 2 weeks ago, Logan, about people fear-mongering for the stock market and talking about how great real estate was. And boom,
couldn't stand it. Yeah.
That happened. So What, we're getting along here. We're going to wrap it up soon. What would you here's the thing, because people are like, oh, this all sounds great. And I think I just gave a whole rundown of what I would do. But what would you do now what would you recommend people doing now in the situation they're in right now? We don't know what everyone here is on. And if you want, you could post what you're doing, what your business is here in the comments. And any questions you have that, we can handle right now. And if we're off the call and this is over, Logan and I will go in and we'll answer comments after the fact. But what is it you recommend people doing like right now? They're in business, either they have rentals, they have, they need private lending, they're wholesalers, they're investors backed out. What could they do right now to really make this an easier transition where they're not left with their pants, down?
Yeah. I mean, I know for us, and like you said, there's a lot of different strategies that people are employing and different paths or different stages of investing that they're in. I know for me that it's a combination of, I'm still looking for equity plays, and I do that via apartment syndication. So depending on the type of deal, and those for me are very dependent on the syndicator. And like I said earlier, there's one apartment syndicator that I'll invest with. I could care less about any other deal that I'm sent. So I'm keeping still a good blend of equity plays versus cash flow. And I had some investors that are in some deals right now asking, what do we do about the notes that we're in right now? And I said, look, first of all, we bought them so cheap. I can write you a check now if we need to. If you need to get out, we can do that. No, that's okay. Just keep working the deals, and I said, look, we're 3 months ahead of schedule, and this is me talking to a private lender just about their nervousness about the situation. So again, back to the communication, being upfront, letting them know where you are, what's going on, and what actions you're going to take if XYZ happens, and then building going forward. We just closed on another performing loan in Georgia last week, and I've got 2 more looking to close next week. And so the reason that I bring that up is I'm still focusing on building cash flow, understanding that the property that I'm buying, that I'm going into, even on the note, talking with Dan 2 years ago, you don't buy the note unless you want to own the home at the end of the day. So if you want to own the note, you better be comfortable owning the home. And all the notes that I've got right now I'll take the house. I don't want to. I'll give that borrower every option they can to figure it out, and I'll help them along the way. But I'll take the house if I have to, because that's my security. That's my investor security. And so buying notes in Georgia, and we're looking at the homes. We're looking at Macon and Columbus and Alpharetta and Atlanta, and there's plenty of markets that are. Sure, markets are going to decline. It's just natural, especially the added piece that's going on right now with the coronavirus. But we're still adding cash flow to the portfolio, and investors are calling me even more now, saying, "I need cash flow. What do I do?" I just had one investor, man, I've got a baby, and I didn't think I needed this much cash flow. So he's been big on the equity side and funneling all his capital there, but now he's like, I need you to help me with cash flow. I said, we can do it all day long. I've got some really good sources, and we can leverage those, and we can get you up to however much you want to move to in cash flow. So there's definitely been a move to more cash flow rich investors as of late within the last month or so. So I'm not slowing down.
Without you scaring them, right? And fear mongering, right? They just come into it and doing this stuff, right?
Yeah, and it's just a conversation. They're asking me my opinion, and at the end of the day, they may not like my opinion, and that's okay. Like I said at the beginning, I'm not trying to sell you on a deal or sell you on a path or a plan.
So important.
Just letting you know what we're doing, and if that fits into what you're trying to accomplish, and you fit into what we're trying to accomplish, we're going to make things happen.
Exactly. And that's so important you said that, because you also said, when we talk about private money and how we raise private money, we always talk about it being like our program. This is what we do. We don't flex and try to make it fit for, hey, I want this ridiculous return. Hey, I want my money then. Hey, I want these types of deals. If you're not a fit for us, we really don't jump in. We don't do a deal because it has to be a fit for both sides. And
Yeah.
I love what you do. And what I love best about this whole conversation just now, this last piece, was when you said, hey, if I don't want that house, I don't buy the note. I mean,
Yeah.
I think you and I might be the only people in the note industry that might think this way. I can tell you how many sub-gurus out there, or how many events I go to where people are buying notes and they're buying the low-hanging fruit. And I actually look up, I see this stuff pass along, and I look it up, and I'm like, you bought this note for $20,000. The house probably needs about $50,000 of work. And after it's fixed up, it might be worth $25,000.
Yeah.
Because your only option is the borrower is going to do a work. Miraculously, they're going to do a workout. Miraculously, they're going to come to the table with money.
That's the only
Miraculously,
exit.
they can't make a $300 mortgage payment, but miraculously, they're going to start bringing $5,000 to the table because some guru put up on the screen that
Just
this
get
is
a big
what
down
they
payment.
do.
Yeah.
This is what they do. But are you okay owning a house? I remember one of my students a couple of years ago came to me, and he came to me from another mentor, and they had 8 notes in 7 different markets. Can you imagine? Brand new investor, 8 notes in 7 different markets. Not one of them was better than a Class D, maybe C- area.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's what we dealt with back then. So now it's like the reason, and I keep telling people this in the note business. And the one thing I could always tell people, they ask me what I do different than other people that makes it so. I'm careful of the words I use. I don't want to say so foolproof because nothing's foolproof.
Yeah.
But I guess conservative is, and my answer is always, I mean, I can't tell you how many times people have probably heard me say this. I never buy a note on a property I don't want to own. And that's what I say at every event I'm at, every panel I get interviewed on, every podcast I get interviewed on, every time I speak on stage, I always talk about this. I never buy a note on a property I don't want to own. Now, I don't go in there looking to own the property because
Sure.
My first goal is to take care of a borrower, to keep them in a home, right? To let them stay in their home with their family where they have memories. To foreclose on you, you have to foreclose on yourself. You have to do everything in your power to make me foreclose on you. And it's not me, it's you foreclosed on yourself. So I love that you said that. That's so huge that you said that, because if people could take one thing away from this conversation, don't jump. I'm not a wholesaler, right? So I don't on property side, right? Not the note side now. I'm not a wholesaler. I don't sign a contract on a property I'm not willing to own myself. Now, do I keep them all? No, I don't keep them all. Some of them I'll sign the contract, but I assign them generally when I sell or finance it to the person, right? So I'll do the hard money lending for one of my students that has gone through my training. So I know they know what they're doing, right? So that's why I always call it, and my friend Martin Sands, I think he might have coined a term, I don't know, but I value him tremendously. He's a great friend. He's somebody I love being around. But he had said, he goes, it's like, from mentees to colleagues. And I believe it. Like, you were a mentee of mine, right? So, and now I think you and I could work together, right? We're talking about doing a couple different things, having us work together a lot more. Because why? It's, I know you doing things right. I got to mentor you the way I expect things to be done myself. And if we didn't align and your vision was different than mine, I saw you just chasing money or just looking to take advantage of people. And I've had students like that still do well, but their vision is a little different than mine. Well, then we wouldn't be talking further about that. Not that it's a bad thing for you. It just doesn't align with my vision, right? I need somebody I work with, a partner with that aligns with my vision, like my project manager. And he's somebody I consider like a brother now in North Carolina. Same thing. We align like this. Things go wrong. Things don't always go great, but there's nothing I always tell them the one thing I can never change on somebody is their ethic. I don't care who you think you are. You can never change somebody's ethics or morals. And you got those. So
yeah,
I appreciate that. Peter wrote, funny you mentioned a secret. Peter Biccini's great. Got to meet him in person from Pennsylvania, a realtor, him and his wife doing a great job. Just the class, forget about business wise, just a class act. And I enjoy it. Peter, I enjoy having you in my network now. We're gonna go out, eat some good pizza at Enzo's here soon. But we're working from home, and of course turned off the news and played secret in the background while calling clients. That's awesome. Guys, this is what you need to do. You need
exactly.
You can control what you can consume, right? That's a great line. Control what you consume what you can control, right? Little hashtag.
Yeah.
Frank
Nice.
Fiori's on Frank's the hashtag guy. Hashtag Frank. Control what you can consume. But that's the things you can control. You can control what you listen to. You can control what you read. You can control who you talk to. Nadine had mentioned before, she goes, this is a friend's experience when she was talking about the PNC thing, and it's refreshing to hear your opinion. You got to be careful in the friends you talk to. I know it's hard, but you got to be careful on who you take counsel from.
Yeah.
Poor people will always tell you how to make money. Fat people will tell you how to be skinny. Divorced people will tell you how to have the best relationships. Just be careful who you take advice from. I don't know how one of the people who mentored me, Greg Reed, phenomenal Greg Reed. He has a statement, and I'm probably going to say it wrong. It's like successful people take counsel from those. People take counsel from people who are successful. Failures take opinions from those who are not successful. I don't know the exact saying, but it's be careful who you take opinions and counsel from. Like I said, when you're mentor, get mentored by somebody who's really doing. Listen, if I'm having marital problems for whatever reason, I'm going to go to somebody to maybe for counseling. Not somebody who's been divorced 13 times, right? That's not the best person to go for marriage counseling. Somebody who cheats on their spouse over and over again. If you're looking to lose weight, right? I'm not going to go to somebody who's way out of shape and heavy and doesn't try, right? Go to somebody who's doing what you want to do. So I hope that helps. And I appreciate your comments on here. I know it's getting long, and I actually got my next one here at noon, and it's 40 minutes for me, and I know you're probably ready for your pancakes over there in Texas. But we're going to do a lot more of this, right? Do you have any?
The pool's warming up, so I don't know. I might go swimming.
Are you serious?
Yeah. The girls have been swimming since early March.
Is that off quarantine swimming? Are you allowed to swim?
Yeah, we could swim. Yeah, it's got enough chlorine in there to kill the bacteria.
Oh man, how hot is it there?
Today is probably like 75.
Oh man,
it's a great day today. Yeah, I'm sure the girls may be in there.
Oh gee, well my pool's supposed to open beginning of May, so that's not a bad idea because I think right now they're talking about May 15th. Schools are closed here until May 15th. Everything's canceled. My cruise is canceled. Spring break is canceled.
Yeah, we've got Disney World in October, so we'll see what happens. I may get to ride Space Mountain 30 times and own that thing when we get out there.
You and the mouse.
I may have to dress up as Mickey just to keep the girls happy.
Well, you're going to be doing that with a baby too, right?
We're leaving the baby home. The baby will be with her parents, so we'll be out there for about 5-6 days.
That's awesome. Well,
right on Halloween, we'll be doing the Mickey Mouse
Halloween
party.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Well, guys, once again, if you have any questions, we're going to be jumping off here. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. I'm sure Logan and I will be checking this later on throughout the day. We'd be happy to answer questions. If you want to hit Logan up, he's in the group. If you have any questions for the group, not even in here, post a new comment in the group. And guys, if you're in this group, just so you know, if you share this out, people aren't going to see it unless they're in a group. So on your personal page, just put the group page, because a lot of people are friend requesting me, friend requesting Logan. And I hit my 5,000 every week. I have to keep deleting people. Logan's going to hit his 5,000 very quick, being what he's doing. So just on your personal page, hey, join this group. Answer the 3 questions to get in. But I would love if you guys can all respond. There's no right or wrong. Just be kind to people. Be empathetic. Don't be nasty. Don't be a jerk, basically. Yeah. And don't post deals. Don't take advantage of people. But post comments in the group and let other people answer it besides like myself or Logan. But we're going to be watching this, and we're going to be doing a lot more. This will probably be part of the podcast, this episode, when it comes on. And we got some good people. Teresa's she's been to Disney. She did it years ago, Halloween Fest. And let's see what happens, guys. Stay positive. Do something great today. Talk to your network. If you have a group of investors, talk to them. Put a Zoom call together. Put a Facebook Live together. Do something positive. Let's get away from this negativity and let's live the life that we all dream of living. And this is what, God puts us in front of us, and we have to deal with it, and we'll handle it. We'll come out. Listen, we're Americans. We come out stronger and better every single time. Mm-hmm. You guys know I've been through the World Trade Center. I was a first responder there. People thought the world was coming to an end then. We came back strong. We're going to come back stronger again. I have faith in our economy. I have faith in people and humanity. And I truly love what I'm doing. I love this group, and I love, being part of it. And, from everything from tenants to my borrowers to my contractors to people like, Logan, my colleagues in the industry, my students, my groups, the next group we're starting. I love them all. So just find positivity out there, guys. And Logan, any parting words from you?
I mean, you said it really well there. I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to, focus on the positive. You can turn on the news real quickly and see all the negativity. Do what you can do today, and just take the steps to move forward and get better. Stop looking at everything else that's going on. Stop looking at the stock market tanking five down, 5 up the next day. It's not going to get you anywhere. My father-in-law looks at his 401k every day and then calls me, and what do you think? I think the same thing as yesterday. I haven't changed. I think the same thing 6 months ago. So it's really just about staying positive. I'm a big believer in that. And Dan, you said that plenty of times here in this call, but stay ahead of it, do what you can control, and it will come out. How long will this last? You can throw timeframes around it, and then who cares? We're just moving forward. That's the biggest deal.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for your time. I know we got you up early and took you away from your family a little bit, but
girls are locked away in the bedroom. I gotta go release them.
Oh, that's great. That's hysterical.
But if you guys need to reach me, if you guys want to reach out, you can email me. It's my first and last name at Sage, SAGE, notes, NOTES, Inc.com.
At Sage Notes
Inc.com.
I'm putting it in the comments here for people.
And my cell phone is available. Feel free to text me.
I don't know if you.
I don't care, Dan. I really don't care.
All right.
Okay. I'll take it all. 214.
All right. Hold on. 214.
864. 9796. At the end of the day,
guys, just
respect the day. I just
respect this time.
A lot of emails. It's hard to get across the message. I'm just a big believer in whether it's a Zoom call or a phone or text. I'm available. At the end of the day, I'm here to help. And if it's not in my expertise, maybe I know somebody that I can push you over to. But just trying to help people out and do what we can to, whether it's this thing that we're going through today, or what it was 10 years ago, or what it's going to be in 10 years. A strong network is much better than just going at it individually. So
yeah. Just guys, I'm going to ask you that. Slogan is very, very he's just very fair with his time. Just be very cognizant of it. Like I ask people to do the same thing. I'm like, just reach out to me by email or even a text. Say, hey, can you speak? And keep it short with him if you can, because if everyone starts calling him, he'll get nothing done. He's got a family.
Well, that's true.
He's got work. And I know you're still in the beginning stages of doing this part of it, Logan, where you're like, I want to help everybody. The problem is there are certain people that will really take advantage of your time. And it's not that they even want to take advantage. They just don't realize they think it's one call for a half hour is okay. But when you have 10 people call you for a half hour, it's 300 minutes. That's 5 hours. You're talking about 5-6 hours gone that you can't do what you're doing. Yeah. So guys, I'm just going to ask that you respect this time. You can get him on Facebook. You can get his email.
You can message me on the Facebook.
Message him, and at least when he's available, or text him. I always tell people text me.
Text is the easiest.
Text is the easiest, and I can get on the phone when I'm available. Because like yesterday, I was on the phone from 8 a.m. till 8:30 at night, literally nonstop. I'm jumping off here. I'm going to be back on. I'm on the phone 2 calls real quick, and then I have another webinar at 12 of our attorneys. So it's just nonstop. So it's hard for me just to pick up a phone, and it's going to be the same thing for Logan. And he's running a business, and he's got a family. So I just ask that you do that. He's very, like I said, he shares so much. He shares his time. He's always there for people. And I'll tell you what, in 2 to 3 years of doing his business, he's probably one of the more successful people I've seen grow in the last 2-3 years. And I'm only looking forward to working with him over the next however many years together and growing something big. And we already talked about it. I think he's going to come in and join our inner circle. I hope he is, because we're going to have a group of,
I said, absolutely.
Yes, because we're going to have a group of maximum of 15 people in that group. And the goal is that we all work together and possibly take down some large assets together, or we help each other's business. But we're going to be starting that here in the next probably couple weeks to months, whatever it is. We're just working the technicalities out now. But I'll talk to you guys soon. And once again, thanks, Logan, for your time. Enjoy the pool with the girls today. And have a great time with the family.
All right, guys. I appreciate everybody jumping on. See you, Dan.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.